Hey everyone, my name's Luke. I've made a long trip from Melbourne, and you could probably tell with my accent. So I'm the founder of PlaySpark, and essentially what we're doing is we are supercharging fan acquisition and retention for the next generation of fan for sports properties and their brands. And we're doing this using the ability to create white-labelled arcade games. As of today, in the US alone, 150 million people play mobile games. And of those, they play for an average of 28 minutes per day. That's second only behind the consumption of YouTube. Now, why is this important to sports? We've spoken to over 50 sports properties, teams, media publishers, brands, who are all finding a common problem. How do we interact? How do we engage? How do we capture the attention and retain the next generation of fan? Not only the young generation and Gen Z and millennials, but the changing generation of these fans who are consuming content more digitally. And especially with the Gen Z and millennial population, we know that 77% of them tend to sit at home and consume content on their phones rather than going to events. Now, the issue here for sports properties and their brands is they're needing to find new ways to engage these users in a digital fashion. But they don't really have great tools to be able to do that. The other issue is that fans these days are more aversive to digital advertising, so it's harder to capture their attention. And for sports properties, a lot of their revenue depends on driving ROI for their sponsors. And brands these days are looking for more ROI on their spend, and they're looking for new ways to connect with this new generation of digitally native fan. So that's where we come in. So at PlaySpark, what we do is we hand the power of mobile gaming into the hands of sports properties and their brands. We give them the ability to create their own white-labelled arcade games, which essentially drive higher engagement and higher attention seeking from this next generation of fan. Essentially, they can create and customise their own games, publish them throughout the whole channels within a matter of minutes. And by doing this, they create this powerful engagement tool, which we know with games, research shows that they can generate acquisition of users by up to 700% and retain those users by up to 4 times compared to traditional digital channels. Not only this is that it's an entirely new sponsorship inventory asset that can be sold by the publishers or the sports teams to their brands. And we know back in 2022, there's data to show that sports games across the App Store generated $2.7 billion in revenue. So we know this is a massive engagement tool that can generate revenue that's being untapped across sports at this time. In terms of our products, essentially what we've done is we've created a Canva for mobile game creation. So any sports property can come onto our product without any assistance from us, grab any of our games, customise them, and change any element in the game. So you think of player characters, boosters, backgrounds, so it's specific to their theme of their team or their specific brands that partnered with them. Within these games, there's rewarded activity. So fans play the games, they're rewarded for their interactions, whether it be playing games, interacting with sponsor content through those games. And we know that with sports fans who play games, they're twice as more receptive to advertising within this media channel as opposed to traditional sports fans. Within these games as well, sponsors have this high ROI activity where they can actually drive conversions to websites, to sales by plugging in rewarded coupons based on achievements that these players achieve in their games. So we're really giving this powerful tool in the hands of these sports properties to drive new revenue and engagement through this next generation of fan. So right now we have a growing list of active clients. We're generating revenue. Our clients are across sports teams in Australia, New Zealand and the USA, which is really our current focus market and one of the reasons why we're here today. Our clients range from sports teams to media publishers to sports brands, and we're starting to see strong data and consumption of these games across the fans of these properties. We've seen that fans are playing these games for an average of 5 minutes a session, with some of them playing upwards towards 50 to 60 minutes a session. And through these games, we can actually reward fans for giving up fan data, which is a key component to our engagement solution, to give data back to these properties, zero-party data, first-party data. And so what we've found is that within these games, we're getting 30% of these fans that are playing these games are releasing zero-party data for up to 10 different data points at a time. Right now, we're seeing strong traction across the US. So we're getting approached by sports engagement platforms themselves who are looking for new ways to add to their portfolio of engagement tools. And we're soon to launch a pilot with the St. Louis Blues in the NHL. So we're seeing interest not only from the lower tier level teams, but all the way through to the top tier. Right now, we're allowing sports properties the ability to capitalise on two growing markets. So we know sports sponsorship is huge and it's continuing to grow. So by giving them a new asset that they can sell to brands, we essentially give them the ability to grow a high yielding asset and add to their offering. Gamification is massive, and we're seeing companies like Netflix drive their own arcade games. You're starting to see the NBA plug in their own games into their app. So they're starting to see the power of these games and how they can connect with the next generation of fan and retain them on their channels. So our business model is quite simple, and we've designed it so that any team or publisher of any size or budget can access these games. So they can come in, create their own games, customise them, and simply pay every time a fan plays a game. Or if they want to scale up, they can drive into a subscription model, essentially where they can run a number of games, run their own dynamic games hub. We have a number of multiplayer game options where essentially they can create a community of fans, whether they be across the globe, whether they be outside of game day, essentially to interact with that community and drive connection between fans through gaming. So there's a lot of fan engagement products out there, we know that, but the key thing about us is that we're unique in that we offer this arcade game solution, which is DIY, it's customisable, it can be accessed by anyone across the globe, and it's very scalable. And we know it's unique because we're starting to get approached by companies that create sports apps, companies that are big across the US who drive their own fan engagement solutions that are looking for new avenues to connect and create more engagement than the next generation. So we're in current conversations with multiple companies that are going to use our product to plug into their own solutions. So our team consists of myself. I'm an ex-founder. I've run 2 startups before that have generated revenue across gamification and sports. My co-founder Joe is our CTO. He's run and led 5 startups before in the past, but he's a games developer himself. So our pair together, we're quite well suited to drive and scale this company forwards. And we're supported by a cast of business development and commercial and sports rights tech consultants who have a strong network across the US, which is our key market that we're targeting at the moment. So right now we're in a pre-seed round. We've got a lead investor. We've raised over 50% of that round. And we're in a really good position for an investor to jump in who believes in what we're doing as we scale into the US as of today. We're also seeking partnerships with sports teams or media publishers who are looking to use games as a channel to engage and retain these fans into the future. So, thank you.
Can you touch upon a little bit more of that revenue share model that you put up there, like how that would work with the advertising money? Is it annual or is it upfront?
Yeah, so the revenue share model is there because we've had some teams express that a preferred option to them. So essentially how that would work is it would be an annual model where essentially we would have an open agreement where they would agree to a certain percentage in commission that's driven through the model. So essentially the way the games will work is they can work as a standard digital campaign like you would find on Google Ads. So each element can be monetizable. So each gameplay, each video view, each click to a website within the game. So a team will be able to on-sell that in a capacity to a brand in that fashion, so they know exactly what they're getting. So.
You mentioned the 5-minute per session number. Can you give us a little context on benchmarking? Is there a target amount that is considered good? Is there an amount that you're looking for? Or what makes sense for teams and advertisers?
Yeah, so when we compare engagement times to what teams currently have, so you look at like a social post that they connect with a sponsor, they're getting sort of 2 to 5 seconds interaction on that. So because this is such a unique solution that sports teams haven't been exposed to, anything above that is quite a big change in what they're used to. But if we look at the stats around mobile gaming in app stores and people playing those games 28 minutes on average, that's sort of the mark that we'd like to get to. So it's just over time optimising the product to get to a point that as we get more data around what fans like and how they interact with the games, we can start to build that number up closer to that 28 average. So.
Got it, that's helpful. And can you talk through what the ad integrations look like in the game? Is it a mix of kind of truly integrated pieces and whether it's video ads or others?
Yeah, so essentially when the team creates their game, they can plug in the assets. So let's say they're plugging in a background of a game. They could work with a brand and create that background, so it actually plugs that brand inside of that background, so they're constantly being exposed to that user. Then we've got integrated advertising, so you've got rewarded video. So you might be playing a game, you die and you want to resurrect yourself back to your old score. You watch a video, you get rewarded to resurrect back into that game. So that's how that works. And then the same thing happens with rewarded survey. We also plug playable ads inside those games, which can be branded, so mini 10-second type ads. So they're all designed to be quite interactive and in a rewarded fashion. And then the other thing is within the game, there's little points in time where you can, if you reach a level, you might want to expand on the coins or the points that you've earned, so you can watch a video to amplify that. So we're just taking what is already working in the mobile space in app stores and just bringing it into the sports space.
2 questions for you. One is, who is kind of responsible for marketing the game? Is it the teams themselves, or do you help co-market?
So right now we do we do help them where we can. It's more around sitting in strategy and giving them advice on how to market it, and then they go out and execute. So we don't tend to market directly for them because they're the ones that have the best accessibility to those teams or to their fans. So we just sit in the back as more strategy consultants to help them optimise the uptake of the games.
And then the second question is, do you have any data around kind of fan experience and how fans view this, especially in a world where people seem to want to pay to not have ads?
Yeah, so a lot of the data we get from fans is around sort of more the rating of the game and how they feel about it, and then more the zero-party data of what the teams want from those fans. So things like their favourite player and their reactions to games and those types of things, or their experience from games. So they get that's sort of the data that we're starting to get from them. So more the experience the data we've got is more a recommendation rating. So the surveys we plug into the games are more around asking the question, how would you recommend this to a friend out of 5? So for our fans, our average recommendation rating's been 4.5 out of 5 across the board so far. So it's really good positive feedback. That's what we're getting from users. Yeah, thank you.